Our next to last speaker is Taylor Train. Advocis is the Financial Advisors Association of Canada, and Taylor Train is the Chief Operating Officer of Advocis. He's also the Chief Operating Officer of the CLU Institute, which grants the RHU and the CLU programs. Financial literacy is a hallmark of the information economy. It is also a matter of increasing social concern. To expand on the role of the advisors in the Canadian markets and of the association, let's please give the stage to Taylor Train.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour, mesdemoiselles, mesdames and messieurs. We definitely are living in a time of unprecedented economic change. We are in a recession, there's no doubt about that. There has been some fundamental issues in the nature of how our economy works and how it has globalized itself over the last 30 to 40 years that is really having an impact for the first time on a global sense of where we are in the community of our fellow countries and fellow man. The issues that are confronting us right now certainly aren't the great abyss that has been shared by former generations. If we look at our grandparents, they went through the tragedies of the First World War. Some of them lived through the Depression. Our parents, if you're out there, baby boomers, lived through the Depression, lived through the fear of the Second World War, indeed lived through the fear. And I asked my mother the other day, what was the thing that frightened her the most in her life? And she said it was the Cuban Missile Crisis. Everybody remember that? That was what frightened that generation at that time. In our own time, because we have such a short memory, we have gone through economic crises. Does everybody remember, or some of you remember, the oil crisis of 1973? Does everybody remember the huge inflation and 10%, 12%, 13% unemployment that we had in this country during the 1970s? Does everybody remember the inflation bubble that occurred in the early 1980s when you could get a GIC at 19%, but also a mortgage at 19% to 20%, 23%? If we look at what has happened during the 90s, in the 80s, we had in the United States a savings and loan crisis. We've had a dot-com bubble that blew up in our faces. But today, what is really unique about this is the true impact that credit markets have had on the whole global infrastructure. And we live in an unprecedented time that I think is going to reconstitute how our economies work. I was watching last night how a business in Kitchener-Waterloo has taken an old tool and die manufacturing site that used to be supplying General Motors and has turned that into now a green technology environment where they are building incinerators for Europe and hiring new people. There is a revolution that is occurring for us right now that is going to underpin a new economy that is going to emerge from this. This is a huge a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And we have a huge opportunity in this country to lead the way in technology and ability and financial stability. Certainly our banking industry has been a hallmark of that stability worldwide. But there is something that concerns me deeply. And that is an undercurrent, a presence of something that is going to create a financial health crisis, indeed has created a financial health crisis that is upon us today. And that is a financial health crisis that has happened in the last short 3 to 4 decades. How did this health crisis come about? Well, first of all, it came about by a shift in values. In one generation, hello, you boomers out there, who was born between 1946 and 1963? Put up your hands. Okay, I'm talking to you. There was a change of values that occurred. We changed from a society that saved for a rainy day to one that spends as if there is no tomorrow. We changed from a society that believed in frugality, in saving, paying your bills on time, the evil of credit, to one that is based totally upon, in a lot of ways, ADD. Does anybody know what ADD is? Acute debt disorder. That is what we are living in now. The values that were shared by my parents, I'll talk about my mother-in-law, for instance. My mother-in-law lived through the Depression, the Second World War. She was bombed out in London. Today, she is independently wealthy because she saved. She was parsimonious. Parsimonious is a good word, by the way. She saved. She was frugal. The inside of her house looks like something out of that 70s show. The shag carpet is that horrid orangish thing that we had, and goodness knows what's living in it. But she's one of these people that brings over coupons. I have more toilet paper underneath my stairs than I probably will ever need because she's looking for deals. And talk about my parents. My parents are the same ilk. They lived through the Depression, or they were young during the Depression, but they had that inculcated in them those values that you have when you live through that tough economic time. We got a telephone call, or they got a telephone call from the Halton Hills Budget Tax Office. And Mother had forgotten to send the second payment on their property tax. This was a disaster. I mean, that was a topic of conversation.